guys, welcome to today's video. So today we're going to talk about the top 3 ways to improve your watercolor. So in watercolor we have 3 things, the paper, the watercolors and brushes. Now obviously we have the water as well, but we're going to talk about the 3 of these things today and how they can improve your watercolor, and also starting from the supplies that you have, how you can improve just with those supplies. So we were all beginners at one stage, and I am just showing you some beginner supplies here. So this is just regular printer paper. We have some craft grade watercolors here. So these are a kid's set from Nathalie Leet. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but I actually saw these on Pam Garrison's Instagram maybe at some stage years ago, and we got those and we tried. They've got some really nice colours in there, so they have been quite heavily used. One of the things I'd love you to take away from this is just the fact that the things you see on my channel now, you know, they're more established. I have taken years to organise and collect them, so you do not need to feel like, you know, you need all these things straight away to begin. So what I have here is printer paper, some basically just craft grade, very chalky watercolours, and just some paintbrush that we've either gotten from Michael's at some point or Walmart. And quite literally this is how I began watercolour. So not with any fancy supplies, not with artist grade watercolors, just trying to figure out, you know, how to actually get some paint on the paper and what to do with it. So, you know, I applaud you for beginning and for continuing with watercolor no matter what supplies you have. So I just want to be very clear about that, because I know I show a lot of supplies on the channel. And so if you are starting with this kind of thing, you know, people always talk about what is the most important thing to invest in if you're trying to improve. So I would say whatever you feel like you can, or, you know, you can improve on or upgrade on, and just do it at a pace that you can do it at. So for example, here I'm just using these, and one of the tips if you are using some craft grade watercolors is to make sure you use enough water. So you're trying to get as much pigment off the cake here as you can, and so, you know, just spend a little bit of time trying to let that pigment re-wet and try and get as much saturation as you can on the page. But definitely do not scrub the watercolor or, you know, the paper. So I'm just lightly applying, you know, a good strong amount of watercolor. And I remember seeing this, so I believe, I can't remember, but I saw this on the Instagram and I was immediately drawn to these colours. Now I didn't really know anything about watercolour at the time, but you can see here the beautiful like hot pinks and peaches that you can get here, and I'm going to show you how you can also mix these with artist grade watercolours. But one of the problems with the more chalky watercolours is that they don't flow as well on the paper. So you could see that in a couple of those examples I had a hard time mixing them on the paper. And so you'll hear different opinions on what you should invest in if you're trying to improve. And a lot of people say paper is the most important thing. Some people say paint brushes, you know, are really important, and some people it's the watercolors. So I would say, you know, what you have available at the time is, you know, going to matter, like how you decide that you want to move forward. So if you can use the watercolor, I'll show you in a minute the watercolor paper from Walmart, or you can also get one of those blue mixed media sketchbooks like from Michael's with a coupon. They have quite nice thick paper that you can also use for watercolor. And you can see how heavily this brush was used, and this is just, you know, some nondescript brush. Okay, so we are going to next look at, so that was kind of craft grade watercolors or very beginner watercolors. So now we're going to look at sort of student grade watercolors or the supplies. So this is the watercolor, the Canson XL watercolor paper pad from Walmart. You can pick one up for $5 or a larger one for $10. And I have used this so much. We have gone through so much of this paper. You can see that with the artist grade watercolors, it does hold them really nicely. It gives a beautiful granulation, and it just really allows the color to shine. So if you want to invest in more artist grade watercolors and, you know, use some of this paper to mix on and just to begin to learn about your colors, I would say that's a really good way to go. And then here I am going to show you just a little bit more of a more advanced brush. So this is a DaVinci No. 5, and we got this off Amazon, I think. It's actually a really nice brush. It was only about $6. The only thing about it is the handle isn't lacquered, so you could use some furniture wax or, you know, lacquer it somehow, some matte varnish, or just even dip it in paint, you know, like acrylic paint, and just to kind of get a layer on it, because it's not very nice to kind of touch when it's just the raw wood. Okay, so we have the paper, the paintbrush, and now these are the Sennelier student grade. It's the sort of petite travel watercolor set. So I do have a whole 2 videos on this watercolor set, and I set this up probably in November last year, hoping I had 4 or 5 different sort of outings planned for the channel, and I just couldn't get them done, being what things were like last year. But I do think this is a really good set, and, you know, you can get something like this also from the Winsor & Newton, from Michael's, and you can start to, so you'll have you know, a range of colours in there that you can begin to use, and then as you begin to know which artist grade colours you can, you know, you want to buy, you can then switch those out and start to curate your own artist grade palette. So I would say that this type of a student set is a really good place to begin, because it gives you, like I said, a range, and then you can begin to switch those out as you know more about which colours you're more interested in using. But you can see these are mixing a lot better on the paper. The brush is a lot nicer to use, so it's handling the watercolors and it's dispersing them on the paper a lot nicer than just you know, a cheaper brush. Even though this is not a very expensive brush, it's still a really nice one. And you can see here that the paints are mixing very well. It's quite pleasant to use this type of a setup. And so in the other video that I have done about this set, I go through a lot of ways. You can see though that the brush is losing some hairs there, but I go through a lot of ways you can use it to mix and paint. So then we move into the artist grade products. And so this is my curated palette. This is sort of my main palette, I would say, of artist grade watercolors and all the colors that I need to kind of make up a palette. Now, like I said, I started as a beginner, so I started with some of those more basic supplies, and it's taken me quite a few years to build up to understand what I wanted and what I needed. And so part of the reason I wanted to start this channel was to help fast track your journey, so that you kind of aren't wasting money or time on things that you don't necessarily need. So, you know, I feel like it's kind of my job to start a conversation about where you can find colours, what type of colours are available, how you can mix them and things like that. And I really love it when you guys let me know, you know, colours that you're enjoying, that you're experiencing, and shops you find or products you find. So here you can see I'm using the Opera Rose and the Organic Vermilion, both Daniel Smith, and you can see I'm getting those really beautiful coral peach colours, and if I also added a little touch of lemon yellow in there, then you would get some of those more vibrant ones. And then so you can see how much easier as well it disperses and mixes on the paper here. So this is Amalfi Cotton Paper. So I did a little video about this, it will be the one before this video, about this sketchbook, and it's really, really lovely. And we'll talk about the brush as well. So you can see I'm adding some Daniel Smith Pearlescent White here, and that just starts to give a shimmer colour. I really love creating shimmer colours and mixing them. So if you have seen the video as well about the sketchbook, it was late one night when I found this and ordered it, so I didn't really have a good look on their shop, but they have a watercolor pad. They have just the paper that you can get that's not in the pad form, so it's cheaper, and then you can just do what I did in that video and create one, or just use them as single sheets. And also I really love the Hollanders, so it's the Somerset Heavyweight paper. I'll link all these below, but it's the Somerset Heavyweight paper from Hollanders in the white, the bright white, and that is also really beautiful. You just have to fold it and tear it yourself, but it's a lot cheaper to do it like that, and you get still the luxury of the beautiful cotton paper, and so I use that quite a lot. I really enjoy it. Okay, so I am using Daniel Smith Fuchsite here. We're just going through 3 greens that are pretty similar from all the sets, so I'm just laying down some water, and then I'm just dropping in the colour to see how it disperses, you know, compared to the next one. So this is the student grade Sennelier one, which you can see performs really lovely. And then lastly I will do just the craft grade one, and it doesn't have, you know, as like obviously the chalkier the paint, the less dispersion it has, but you can see that, you know, you can just improve one thing, like just improve the paper, just get a little bit of a better paintbrush, and you will be able to create with what you have. So again, remember, like I said, if you're using a beginner's craft grade palette, you want to make sure you're wetting it and giving it enough time to activate and using as much paint as possible. And like, I apologize here, so this is a really old palette. It could be 7 or 8 years old. There is like dog hair and all kinds of things in the palette, but I just wanted to show you these colors are really beautiful. And again, if you have something like this, it's really nice and easy to use, just with a little bit more care. Take a little bit more time to fully allow that paint to activate, and the color provides a lot of inspiration already. And then as you can, you might be able to get some artist grade tubes and start adding those into that palette, etc. Okay, so let's just talk about my favourite paintbrushes as well. So we haven't really gone into this yet, but my 2 favourite artist grade watercolour brushes are the Escoda Reserva. So this is you can get it in the 1212 series, which is this one, or the 1214 series, which is the travel one. So I love both, and this is the number 6. This is the one I use a lot on the channel. I've used it for years and years, and you know, it's still going strong. So then we have the number 8 is larger, and the number 1 is smaller. So the smaller the number, the smaller down in size it goes. Then this one is the DaVinci 20, and I really love that one. It is wearing out, so I need to replace it, but I was trying a few different brushes. I do like this Tintoretto one. It has dropped a little bit of water and it has lost a hair or two, but I like just the aesthetics and the weight of it. For main painting, I use the DaVinci one. So here you can see another palette. So this one is from Walmart, and again, this has been filled up, I think, with the Reeves tube paints and just all kinds of little paints over the years. Then this one here is a I think it's a miniatures brush. Just you can get them in a packet off Amazon, but you can see that it's on the wooden handle. It's got some sort of grooves there for your grip. So if you're having a hard time, you know, holding the paintbrush in a really loose way, like, you should be able to hold it and it doesn't hurt, and it's very easy to make these really beautiful fluid motions, and so that can help you with that. So the other thing you can do is just grab one of these empty pallets off Amazon and just begin a collection. So some of these are artist grade paints, some of them are handmade paints, all sorts of different tube paints. You can see the difference here even between the student grade Sennelier ones versus the artist grade on the same paper from Walmart. And again, the craft grade versus the artist grade paints on the cotton paper. So I hope this has given you a few ideas and a few helpful tips. I know if you've been here for a while on the channel, you're probably not a beginner, and if you've been following along, you may, you know, have sort of passed some of these things, but I wanted to put this out there because I get questions about a lot of these things a lot. So in the next video, we're going to be talking about different ways to swatch, and and then one of the videos will be 3 techniques that will improve your watercolor. And then we're going to be painting one of these types of roses, so you can see some of the gorgeous swatches that we'll be doing in the next video. And I just wanted to kind of go back and do a few of these basics videos, just to kind of clear up anything. If you have any questions, let me know. I am more than happy to, you know, talk about that in the comment sections. I do apologize, sometimes I can't get to all of the comments, but I try to be as thorough as I can, and if I, especially like if there's a question that I think more of you will want to know about, I try and give as detailed of an answer as I can. So I really love all the comments, and I also really appreciate you giving the videos a thumbs up and subscribing and all those lovely things. So one of my surprises last year, so at the end of the year you get like a little email review of your year from YouTube, and one of the surprises was that you guys have shared the channel 232 times. So I really can't tell you how much of a sort of a Christmas present that was for me, so I really appreciate it. And so yeah, I hope you're having a lovely week, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.